So I was wrong. So the main character did not know what was going on at the end of the book. He only found out because the second assistant, when the father and brother was out of the room, had told the truth to the main character and put a recording in the main character's shirt to be like, hey, this whole plan is set up by your childhood friend. Yes, the plan was set up by the childhood friend to have the main character captured. The main character kept from the know of because he knew the main character couldn't keep it a secret. The main character would be found out. Like, he knew the main character probably wouldn't be able to bluff his whole way through. He'd make a falter because, again, we know how dramatic he is. He is just as dramatic as the main character from Grandmaster Demonic Convention. Like, he's just as dramatic as that person is. And the person who walked through the door wasn't just the male lead, it was the childhood friend. Both of them walked through the door. They got the main character out of there. They got the father and brother both in prison. It takes them to the prison. And they were telling the whole truth to the main character. Like, and when they arrive to the prison, not technically the prison, but to the police station, they don't let the main character get it out of the car, and neither the second assistant. The only people who are allowed out of the car is the father, the brother, the bodyguard, the traitorous scum, and the male lead and the childhood friend. They're the only ones who come out of the car. They're told the main character to stay in so the main character doesn't get dragged in this. His childhood friend promises that once they get all of this dealt with, they will deal with the main character's father's case, but they need the main character to stay out of it. The main character's like, but I was the main character of this kidnapping story. And he's like, yeah, but you got to stay out of it. And the main character's like, fine. And he does. Like all dame men and dame books, they gotta be kinky as hell. Like, these dudes do it in the main character's changing room. Not technically changing room, but you know what I mean. His little area he stays in, they do it in there. And they almost literally get walked in on. Now, the main character didn't want to be walked in on. Also, he's still wearing his clothes that he wore on set. That is how kinky they are. They almost full on got walked in on, and they're barely covered when the people walked in on them. Like, ah! Like, oh my god. Like, it was so bad. I felt so bad for the main character because at first he was so into it until someone almost walked in on him and he's literally freaking out. I felt kind of bad for him. The main character teases the male lead about getting married and revealing their relationship to the outside world, and the male lead's like, well, we can wait until your career gets better and it settles and I'm able to career my career, because again, he's leaving his family. Like, he's leaving the company, he's leaving his family, he's just has his entertainment company. He's going to start from the very get-go with his entertainment company. So he's at the brink at the bottom, and you know, it's perfectly fine, but he's like, we're gonna get things settled before we come out publicly about our relationship. And the main character's like, but you will marry me, right? You're gonna marry me, right? You did everything with me and you don't want to marry me? Like, you gotta marry me. I'm like, yeah, put a ring on it. Also, the child friend makes the main character realize how jealous and possessive the male lead is. Like, the main character always goes, oh, he's kind of jealous. But now, thanks to the child friend, the main character finally gets into his head how much of a jealous man the male lead is towards the childhood friend. Like, the main character knew, oh, my husband is kind of jealous of my bestie, but he didn't fully realize until the childhood friend brought up something from the past, and he was like, hey, you're right, I didn't realize how jealous he was. They also talk about the main character's hair, because Mel lead is still pushing the main character to even cut it shorter than it already is. And the main character finally goes, oh, well, yes, I will cut it. But once the Mel lead finally realizes that the reason why the main character has been keeping his hair long this entire time was for him. And, you know, he was trying to keep that moment the Mel lead told him, I love you, with his hair, because, you know, hair keeps memories. He kept his hair long this entire time to keep hold of the memory of the Mel lead telling him, I love you. And once the male lead realized that, he's like, don't cut your hair. No more cutting your hair. And the main character's like, okay, but can you make up your mind? 1 minute you're telling me to cut it, and now you're telling me you want me to keep it long? Like, which one, dude? Which one? They get the main character's dad out of prison. He's suddenly set free. They even have a trial, which after they get him out of prison, his dad and uncle tells him to back out, that they will take care of the case, for the rest of the case for them, and prove the rest of the dad's innocence. So they get the court that, you know, obviously the dad's proven innocent with all the evidence, but the main character still wanted to stay in. But the male lead points out to the main character, dad wants him to back out of the case. One reason. Well, two reasons. One, because of the dad's pride. He's always been number one against the male lead's dad until the male lead's dad made him tumble that badly, like had him framed and put in prison. So he needs it for his pride to prove his innocence. The rest of the way, prove his innocence against his long-term rival. And two, he doesn't want the main character to continue feeling guilty, because if the main character continues to try to help him, the main character will continue to feel guilty for, accidentally giving the, numbers to the safe to his arch rival. Yes. So I love the main character's dad. He's very much being an overprotective dad to the main character. He's like, you can't have my son. You're not worthy of my son. Back off. You need to prove yourself. Get your entertainment company to grow. Prove yourself that you're worthy of my son, especially after all these years of my son suffering. You need to prove yourself. I don't want my son to suffer anymore. And the uncle's like, well, he can take over my position, which makes the dad upset. He's like, you're taking his side. He's like, no, I've been working so hard over these years, especially since I've been running the company on my own. I deserve to retire, but also you deserve to retire after everything you went through. We can make him grow and nourish and have him technically take over the company, and then we can retire and be together. And I'm like, ooh, which was super sweet. I was so happy the dad and uncle is finally flourishing their relationship. I'm like, ooh, yay, happy for them. I'm honestly happy for them. But yeah, this will give the male lead more chances to prove himself to the main character's dad. Also, the main character meets the male lead's mom again. They go to visit her, and she's like, oh, you're the male lead's classmate, which the main character goes, oh, you didn't tell your mom about our relationship? And he's like, Mom, I told you about our relationship. And she's like, I thought you guys broke up all those years ago. You're back together. I thought because of his status, his reputation, and him being literally famous as a celebrity, that you had no chance, son. And when they leave, the main character's like, I wanted more chances to prove myself to your mom and have your mom love me more. And the male lead goes, my mom loves you more than she loves me. She thinks I'm not worthy of you. Just like how the main character's dad doesn't think the male lead's worthy for the main character. The male lead's mom thinks the male lead is not worthy of the main character. And I'm like, ooh. I'm loving this. So something to do with ex-sister-in-law. There's basically a post because the main character was helping through her tears because they had visit the male lead's brother in prison for a very last moment because he wanted to see her, and she threw her ring at him to announce that there's nothing in between them anymore. And she was crying, so the main character was holding her in his arms to help her cry, but they kept it from the male lead. And then when it was trending because people were shipping them, being like, oh, they're perfect for each other, the main character tried hiding that too, but the male lead easily found out through the main character's dad, and they finally have a conversation not to hide stuff from each other and always help each other and not try to do something on their own, that they will work things through together and try their best helping each other. And I love the conversation between the main character and the sister-in-law where she's like, why did you guys get a second chance at being together because of a misunderstanding? But the issues with me and my husband is not a misunderstanding. My character's like, because you deserve better. You deserve a better man. He doesn't deserve a second chance with you because he's a sick jerk who didn't actually love you. You deserve to find someone who does love you. Yes, me and male lead had a second chance together, but that's because we had misunderstandings that we had to work through. But you deserve better because this dude doesn't, and I love that.